Well, one of the concerns of the previous Zelda games has been the quality of the music. I mean, obviously Zelda has really, really good music, but it hasn't quite been up to par with some of the other games in terms of the samples they use and how they produce it. And I don't know how many of you played Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2, but the music in that game is certainly what I think people expected for a Zelda game. And they were able to confirm that what they did with Galaxy and Galaxy 2, how could they not do that type of orchestrated music in the new Zelda game? So the new Zelda game will most likely be using orchestrated music. However, when asked about voice acting, they just ignore the question altogether. So, although, who knows? And that entire walkthrough area you saw is just a demo area that was built specifically for E3. It actually probably will not be in the final game. Those items will, those enemies probably will be, but I don't think you'll be seeing that specific area. So that kind of Alice in Wonderland mushroom place, I don't know if it's going to be in the final game. And speaking of the scenario and setting, the details about the story, they haven't said anything about the timeline, so don't ask it. The basic premise is that Link lives in a world above in the sky called Skyloft. And it's a series of islands that float high above the land below. And Link, he's just an ordinary inhabitant up there. And he thinks it's completely normal, that's how he lives life. And there are supposedly other people up there with him, I don't think he's by himself. And his life goes by normally until one day some incident makes him aware of the world below. And this world below is overrun by evil. It's this land ruled by monsters and enemy forces, and basically Link is going to have to go back and forth between Skyloft and the world below to save it. And he's going to do that with the aid of... Yeah... with the aid of her. That is the Skyward Sword. They have not given the character a name yet, but it's going to take human form whenever it aids Link. And that is the sword that Link will be using, so that is why Link does not have his sword in that picture, is because she's in human form. And I'm sorry if this is spoilers, but they told us this, but at some point in the game she becomes the Master Sword. So...
Spoiler!
Apparently that's not a big spoiler. But I will tell you this, they said, they made a joke about someone gonna have to gather 3 Skyward Sword pieces and put them together to make the Master Sword. They're like, not this time. So I'm presuming there's gonna be no gathering of medallions or spiritual stones or something like that. So yeah, no name yet, but that's gonna be your aid in the game, and it's supposedly gonna be talking to you as you go through the adventure. I don't know if it's gonna be like Navi though, because it's your sword. Maybe more like maybe Midna, sort of. Another key point is that during the interviews, they kept referring to some part of the game as Hyrule, but they have not specifically clarified if they meant Skyloft or the land below as Hyrule. And I pretty much assume that he means the world below is Hyrule and it's overrun by evil. But apparently the game will take place in Hyrule at some point and somewhere. And as I said, you travel between Skyloft and the world below. And there will supposedly be some means to go back and forth between the sky and the ground. So either warping or some kind of flying mechanism will be apparent. And Anu has said last year when he was discussing Spirit Tracks why he decided to use a train, he said that his little kid wanted to see a train in a Zelda game, and then he asked his kid, like, what else did he want to see? He goes, I want to see Link fly. So supposedly Link will be flying in this game, but don't think of Final Fantasy airships or stuff like that.
Right.
I have a gut feeling that's not going to be what it is. So dragon, or I don't know, maybe some steampunk. Who knows? As for the other key characters, there's been no mention on Ganon or Zelda or even the Triforce yet. But and again, they have not said anything about the timeline placement. But if you're looking for timeline speculation, as I said, the Skyward Sword becomes the Master Sword at some point in the game. So I don't know how many of you know the origin story behind the Master Sword, but in Twilight Princess, basically, Zelda said that the sages created it. The sages created the Master Sword. So this living object is the Skyward Sword, and it becomes the Master Sword. So it's safe to say that if this is the origin story of the Master Sword, that there'll be sages involved and probably the Triforce, and those Triforce is usually Zelda and Ganon, so don't be surprised if Ganon shows up somewhere. He usually does. Let's just hope he doesn't get shoehorned in at the last minute. But one key thing I do want to show off is the logo for the game.
Opens the Adobe. But there it is, though. Right click, there you go.
So, okay, this is the logo for the game. And one thing I want to point out is that since Majora's Mask, the image in the logo has been a key story or gameplay mechanic. So Majora's Mask, obviously it's the mask. In Oracle of Ages and Seasons, it's the fruit. In the Wind Waker, it's the King of Red Lions. Four Swords, it's the Four Swords mechanic. This is the Japanese version of Minish Cap. It's Ezlo is in the logo, and in the US version, it's the Four Sword. Twilight Princess, obviously you have Midna's helmet, and you have Link's wolf form alluded to. Phantom Hourglass, we have the hourglass, and the Japanese version has a bow. Link's crossbow training has a target, and Spirit Tracks has a train. So we come back to this. That is the emblem of the royal family of Hyrule. It's their royal crest. So it's safe to assume that the Triforce, the royal family, or Zelda is going to be in there because the logo has been such an important part of the game. And that's a better version of the emblem. As you saw in the walkthrough about enemies, there's a lot of returning enemies. There was one thing I want to point out is that the thing that looked like a Deku scrub, that was, they kept referring to it as an Octorok in the walkthroughs and everything. And so they did it more than once, so I'm pretty sure that that is going to be an Octorok, even though it looked like a Deku scrub. So that was interesting. The Deku Babas obviously are back. The Keese, the bats are back. There's a Staphos boss, which I can show you in a little bit. The Scorpion, there's the Waltolas, the Spider-like enemies. And then in the trailer they showed a little bit of a fire area, which was for some reason cut out of the E3 demo, which had a toad pulley, the little fire toad things that come out of the lava. And those bokoblins, still no real moblins yet. And then, obviously, the enemy, the giant scorpion, which is nameless, so that gave everyone trouble. And that's pretty much it. I'll just show you guys two of the boss battles that were also there, real quick. This is the first boss battle with it's sort of the mini boss with the Staphos. So, pause. Lights, please. I guess I have to say lights. They don't listen to any of you guys, so I wasn't being mean. Sorry.
Yeah.